Hello, this is Michael from Ancient Greece Revisited, and today I want to disambiguate a single word that is very, very important for our understanding of ancient Greece, right? And that word is Politia. Politia. Surprisingly difficult to translate, right? Works like Politia by Plato is often called the Republic. Other works like Athenian Politia of Aristotle or Lacedaemonian Politia by Xenophon is called the Athenian regime or the Spartan regime or the Athenian constitution and the Spartan constitution respectively. So regime, constitution, the words do not capture the essence really, which is what we're going to try to do now. So I want to give you a word and a definition that's obviously to be taken with a pinch of salt, right? We're blessed with not being academics, so we can have an artistic understanding of things. Artistic meaning that we honor what is essential by skipping some of the details. So the word that I have found to be most appropriate is the system. But the system as conspiracy theories mean it, okay? When you hear that, the system wants to keep you consuming, to stop using cash and start using plastic so that it can keep a trail of your money, the system wants to indoctrinate you, the system wants you to think this, wants you to think the other. That thing is much closer to the idea of Politia than any of regime constitution, which have a very legalistic and very modern term. Because essentially, Politia for the ancient Greeks was the specific distribution of power within a given city. And city meant a human community. It didn't have to be tall, multi-story houses, or it definitely reflected geographically in such a place, but it was an organized community. Hence, Themistocles thought he could move the whole city in another place. It wouldn't move the buildings. It was this specific distribution of power that is the Politia, and strangely enough today is very often by conspiracy theorists that you hear about the real distribution of power that is happening behind the scenes, right? Many conspiracy theorists, for example, will point to the fact that the COVID period had as its major effect the wealth transfer of some trillions from the middle class to the upper classes, okay? Was that what caused COVID? Was it an organized attempt? Who knows? But the actual effect, if you forget what you've been shown by the media and see the real numbers, is this wealth transfer. This period in time, from the eyes of an economist or a political theorist, would be called as the final blow on the middle classes that have been declining. Okay, with money came a transfer in power. Middle classes that used to own houses, used to own shops, used to own businesses, the middle classes that was the class that I grew up with, are now losing these things. They're increasingly renting from the elites. They're working as employees for the elites. They're increasingly using the services of the elites, right? And although that has been happening for more than a decade after the 2008 financial crisis, it was expedited so much by the COVID period that it became apparent for many to see. Not all, and surely, as I remember during the COVID period, it was a very small minority that spoke in the terms that I'm speaking to you now, right? And quite honestly, they were all called conspiracy theorists, but they understood something. They understood that behind every event, the most rational question to ask is who benefits? Who benefits? And if you trace the who benefits, I remember one Twitter X post saying, don't follow the science, that is stupid, follow the money. That is kind of thing, but you have to put power in parentheses, not the money. Money is the power, follow the power, follow the transfer of power. In this context, therefore, did we have a regime change during the COVID period? Yes, we had. We have a different Politia than we had before. The Politia of Europe was disrupted in the benefit of another Politia. For Ursula von der Leyen, who is presiding over the European Union, there was no such thing. The European Politia continued uninterrupted and came out unscathed, so to speak, saved by the billions and trillions that were poured into the economy. The few laws that were passed during this COVID period, you see, were not what did it. Of course, some are suspicious, curbing free speech and opening the door to even more censorship. But even if these did not happen, the Politia would have changed, because Politia is not the constitution as in the laws that are written on a tablet. It's not the regime in the general, it's the distribution of power. And that is the system, as conspiracy theorists usually call the system. So that is it. I think, again, remember, it's a tongue-in-cheek. Okay, when we say ancient Greece revisited, it's like revisiting an old friend. You're going to say a few things just to stir old memories and just trying to deepen that relationship. You know, it's not a scientific experiment. And it should be judged as to whether it's capturing something essential that is perhaps missed by the more conventional, academic, bureaucratic sometimes explanation. So hopefully we did that and offered a new tool to understand this very elusive word. So as always, please consider subscribing. And if you do click the little bell button, because we do understand that many of you are missing our updates. And why not become a member of our channel? We'd love to have you here. So thank you very much.